In our episode revision 9, let's discuss consumption function. Now, before we go into consumption function, we need to understand these. Once again, we will revise. See, there are three activities: consumption, investment, and savings. Before the actual consumption is made, we plan the consumption, how much we are going to consume or how much we are going to invest, and also how much we are going to save. So, the plan that is made to consume, invest and savings is called as the ex ante consumption, ex ante investment and ex ante savings. Now, after the actual consumption has been made, the numbers will be maybe equal to the planned ones or more than or less than the planned ones. So, the actual numbers we get after the consumption is made, after the investment is made or after savings is made is called as the ex post variable. Ex post variable. Now, the ex ante variables, that is the planned ones, are the basis of determination of national income. So, the planned values or variables are more important to us. Now, let's go into the consumption function. Consumption function is described as the relation between consumption and income, isn't it? So, consumption function C is given by C bar plus BY, where C is the consumption in an economy, C bar is the autonomous consumption. What do we understand by autonomous consumption? That level of consumption when the income level is 0, plus B. B is the slope of the consumption function, which is change in consumption due to the change in the income. So, delta C by delta Y, otherwise called the marginal propensity to consume, and Y is the level of income in an economy, right? So, that is the consumption function. Now, what are the components of consumption function? This is a 1 mark question that is asked. So, sometimes it also comes in the numericals. So, there are two components of the consumption function. So, you see a plus sign over here. So, this plus divides the components 1 and 2. So, the first component is the autonomous consumption given by C bar, and second component is called the induced consumption, which is given by BY. What is this induced consumption? It is the consumption that is made that which depends on the income. Due to a change in income, the level of consumption or the fraction of the consumption also changes. Let's see how. If say the MPC is 0.2 or B is equal to 0.2 and income is 100, then what will BY be? That is induced consumption will be equal to 0.2 into 100, which is equal to 20. Now, if the marginal propensity to consume increases to 0.5, that is 50% of the income is consumed, then BY will be given by 0.5 into 100, which is equal to 50. So, with a change in income or with change in the marginal propensity to consume, there is a difference in the induced consumption, right? So, when you are asked what are the components of consumption function, you should write C bar, that is autonomous consumption, and BY, that is induced consumption. Now, what is marginal propensity to consume? It is the change in consumption due to a given change in income, or mathematically MPC is equal to delta C by delta Y, change in consumption divided by change in income. Now, there are three conditions to this. The first consumption is that there is no condition is there is no change in consumption even when there is a change in income. That is delta C is equal to 0. There is no change in consumption, so delta C is equal to 0. Therefore, what happens to MPC? It becomes 0 by change in income, which is 0, because 0 by any number is 0. The second condition is that all the income is used up for consumption. That is delta C is equal to delta Y. So whatever is the change in income, all that is consumed. So what happens? Delta C by delta Y are equal, so MPC will be equal to 1. The third condition is using only a part of increase in income. We are not consuming whole, we are using only a fraction of it or only a percentage of it. That is when delta C is less than delta Y. Then what happens? The MPC will lie between 0 and 1 because the two extreme values are 0 and 1. When no change in consumption, when all the income is consumed. So MPC will lie somewhere between 0 and 1. Now average propensity to consume is given by the ratio of consumption and income. That is C by Y. C for consumption, Y for income. Now here also we find three conditions. When consumption is equal to income. The second condition, when consumption is greater than income. And third condition, when consumption is less than income. Is it possible that consumption is greater than income? Yes. This situation is called dissaving because if consumption is greater than income, that means some part of the assets or some savings from the previous income is consumed. Sometimes we spend more than the income that we have. So what we do? We take out from our bank balance or something like that. We sell our assets in order to equalize the consumption or make a consumption. Okay, so this situation is dissaving. We will understand this better with the help of a graph. Let's say this is a consumption schedule and we are given that the marginal propensity to consume is 0.8. That means 80% of the income is consumed and consumption function is given by 100 plus 0.8 Y. We know na, C is equal to C bar plus BY. So B is MPC which is given to us 0.8, right? And we are given some income 0. At 0 level of income, the consumption is 100. So this is generally the C bar or autonomous consumption at no income, that is Y is equal to 0. Since it is autonomous consumption, we don't have any change in consumption or the average propensity to consume. Now when the income increases to 100, there is change in income from 0 to 100, so this is 100. Now 80% we are consuming, so the consumption increases to 100 plus 0.8, 80% of this income, so 180. The change in income is 180 minus 100 equal to 80 and the average propensity to consume is given by consumption by income. Consumption is 180, income is 100. So 180 by 100, 1.80 will be the APC. Similarly, when the income increases to 200, change in income is 100 and consumption increases to 260. Because we have to apply, everywhere we need to apply this formula to find out the consumption. Now change in consumption 260 minus 180, 80. So C by Y is given by 1.3, right? Similarly, we draw for all and at 500, we find consumption is equal to the income and change in income, change in consumption is the same, change in income is the same. At this point where Y is equal to C, APC is equal to 1 because APC is C by Y. Now that's what we learned. Now when it further increases, we find a change in consumption also and a change in APC also. But what is to be noted over here? We have these numbers, isn't it? So here at 500, we are finding APC is equal to 1 because Y is equal to C. This point is called as the break-even point. This is called as the break-even point. Because at this point, consumption is equal to income, right? Now, above this, we find everywhere the consumption is greater than income. See, 400, 420, 300, 340, 200, 260, 100, 180. So, the consumption is greater than income. And below 500, here, under this, we find that the consumption is less than the income. 580, 600, 660, 700, 740, 800, like that. So here we find consumption is less than the income. Okay. Now where consumption is less than income, APC starts falling. And where consumption is greater than income, APC is greater than 1. So this is what is very important for us. So when consumption is greater, APC will be greater than 1. When consumption is less than the income, it will be less than 1. APC will be less than 1. Okay. So if we represent this schedule as a curve or in the graph, then what happens? National income is given by Y, which is a 45-degree line. So let's draw a 45-degree line over here. This is our 45-degree line, and this is equal to Y. Y is equal to consumption plus saving, isn't it? Now we will draw the consumption curve. How do we draw consumption curve? We have to take the same on the x-axis and y-axis. On the x-axis we represent income and output, on the y-axis we represent consumption. So when we join those dots, we find this consumption curve to be like this. Here, consumption curve. Now we find at this point Y is equal to C, and this corresponds to this 500 over here and 500 over here, right? So this will be our break-even point. Break-even point. Now this will be the savings. Okay, and this will be the saving. Why? Because here income is greater than consumption, and here consumption is greater than income. So this will be the saving and this will be saving. The point at which Y is equal to C will be called as the break-even point. So from here also we can make out that since saving is income is greater than consumption, here APC will be less than 1. So here APC is less than 1 and here APC is greater than 1. Here it will be equal to 1. Alright. Let us now quickly solve a numerical. Consumption function is given by 100 plus 0.8y, and we need to find autonomous consumption and the slope of the consumption function. Second, we need to find the level of income at break-even point. So here consumption function is equal to 100 plus 0.8y. What we must remember is consumption function is given by autonomous consumption plus induced consumption, isn't it? So here the answer for A will be autonomous consumption. C bar is equal to 100. This is C bar, and slope of the consumption function is nothing but MPC. MPC is given by here B. B is MPC. So this is our slope. Slope is 0.8, right? This is for A. Now B, level of income at break-even point. So what is break-even point? When C is equal to Y. Now the consumption function is given as 100 plus 0.8y. Let's put this value over there. Now C is equal to Y. So instead of writing C, we will write Y over here. So Y is equal to 100 plus 0.8y. Now you bring it over here. So this becomes Y minus 0.8y is equal to 100. And when you solve it, you get Y into 1 minus 0.8 is equal to 100. And you further solve it, you get 0.2. And this 0.2 goes down. So Y will be equal to 100 by 0.2, which is equal to 500. So that's how you find the level of income at break-even point. This was one of the problems on consumption function. Now finally, let's look at one of those questions that will be included from this year in the board examination paper, that is assertion reason type of questions. What happens over here is we need to read those two sentences which are given as assertion and reason. What is assertion? In English, assertive sentence means a positive sentence. Okay, so if the sentence can be a positive sentence or a negative sentence. That means a true statement or a false statement. And reasoning means why. This is not new to us because we have been answering questions like, is a statement true or false? Give reason. So give reason type of questions. So we should be careful in finding out whether the second sentence that is given to us is the right reason for the first sentence or not. So the options given will be like this. Both assertion and reason are true, and reason is the correct explanation of assertion. Both assertion and reason are true, and reason is not the correct explanation of assertion. Assertion is true, but reason is false. Assertion is false, but reason is true. So these are the four options that always will appear with these kind of questions. Let's now see how to solve them. I have here some four statements. The first one is assertion. In a two-sector economy, if income is zero, consumption will also be zero. And reason is at zero level of income, there will be some minimum consumption in the economy. Now the first sentence is, in a two-sector economy, if income is zero, consumption will also be zero. Is it true? No. It is a false statement. But look at the reason. At zero level of income, there will be some minimum consumption in the economy. The reason is correct, isn't it? But assertion is a false statement. So here we will write option D. A is false, but R is true. Okay. Now second sentence. Assertion says ABC can be greater than 1. We know it can be greater than 1. So this is a true statement. Now total consumption can be greater than total income due to existence of autonomous consumption. Yes, consumption can be greater than income. That is why APC is greater than 1. And it is giving us the explanation due to existence of autonomous consumption. Yes, because of autonomous consumption, consumption is greater than total income. Okay, so this is true, and this is giving the correct explanation for assertion. So here we will write option A. Now assertion is MPC represents the slope of consumption function. Yes. MPC cannot be greater than 1. Is it true? MPC cannot be greater than 1? Yes, it is also true. Both are true, but R is not the correct explanation of the A. So here we will write B, option B. Consumption expenditure depends on level of income. Yes, consumption expenditure depends on the level of income. That is why B, why no? Then consumption cannot be greater than income. This is a false statement because consumption can be greater than income. That is what we learned in APC, isn't it? So the first sentence is true, but the second one is false. So here we will write C as the option, right? So that's how you will solve assertion reason type question.